Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of days ago, we had the FOMC decision in the United States, and it led to a glimmer of hope in the market. Bitcoin broke above this pink line right here. Pink doesn't mean anything. It's just color-coded so you can see it. It was a resistance line on the shorter-term charts. We broke that level with a volume surge. You can see there on the volume. We did the exact same thing, by the way, on Ethereum. Even the S&P 500 broke above, briefly, a resistance zone, as you can see in red. It did not manage to close above it, though, and we actually closed our daily candles right on top of that resistance. So these breakouts, unfortunately, have rolled over. They were unable to turn into anything bigger. And right now, we are kind of in the same situation we were in a week ago on Bitcoin. In fact, it's probably a little bit worse because right now on Bitcoin, we have an ascending wedge formation forming on the short-term charts with descending volume. That's weakness right there. And that could lead to a swing to the bottom of this broader descending wedge formation and a swing down to the 74K region. Now, that 74K region is so important. It's important because it's the prior range's macro high. And if we drop back below that region, we would enter the prior macro range that we spent 9 months trying to get out of in 2024. It would be a destruction of the bull market and a flip into the bear market. And I say that with plenty of evidence. I say that with evidence coming from the weekly chart, from the Gaussian channel on the weekly chart, from the 50 EMA on the weekly chart, from the structural uptrend itself. I'll discuss all of that today. Something that I also want to discuss today is the state of the altcoin market. Now, the altcoin market, Ethereum, altcoins in general, the Bitcoin dominance charts, are looking very, very bad right now, looking very, very ugly. And I'm going to justify the fact that I'm clinging to macro bullishness of the cycle to some degree. I'm going to justify that even given the state of the altcoin market, because I actually don't really think that the altcoin market is fundamental to the cycle. I think the cycle is fundamentally based on Bitcoin, and altcoins move based on the actions that Bitcoin takes. And given the fact that Bitcoin is still in a macro bull market, it's kind of irrelevant what's happening to altcoins until Bitcoin actually flips into a macro bear market, which in my view would be breaking below 70,000 or 74,000. But I will detail the situation in the altcoin market heavily. I'll detail how I'm reacting to altcoins right now and how I think reaction should be taken to altcoins right now. Fundamentally, this video will just be giving you an outline of what I'm thinking about the market, what I'm thinking about the health of the cycle, and I'll come to my conclusion. My conclusion is basically this. I'm very cautious here. I'm not extremely bullish. I'm not extremely optimistic, but I do recognize that at this point in time, there's no definitive evidence saying that we're in a bear market. And so I suppose I do remain macro bullish. Before we get into it today, guys, we have an exchange here that has never been hacked before in 3.5 years of being on the market. That is global non-KYC. You can sign up from anywhere in the world and use this exchange without a VPN. And furthermore, with my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount attached to your account for life, as well as $8,000 plus USDT in trading rewards added to your account as trading bonuses for signing up with my referral link down below. This is big stuff here. It's an excellent deal. I reached out to them for partnership. They did not reach out to me. I don't get paid by them. The only thing I get is a referral link. And if you want all those things I just mentioned, which you should, trust me, I've done the scouting of the market, you can use my link down below to sign up. It takes 30 seconds and you'll get those rewards and bonuses and you'll help out the channel. I appreciate that, guys. Let's get into the content. So the broader Bitcoin structure right now is a descending wedge formation. That's a bullish formation. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not super concerned, even though Bitcoin has been consolidating, correcting for longer than what I expect during a cycle, longer than what the cycle expects even. We haven't really seen anything like this before, although it's not necessarily too concerning that we haven't seen anything like it before because every cycle has been different. In fact, the trend, the normal for Bitcoin is cycles being different. So there's no real normal in terms of structure within cycles. The only normal thing about cycles is the length of the cycle. So I'm not too concerned about Bitcoin doing whatever it's doing right now, especially given it's in a descending wedge. But I will get concerned, very clearly concerned. In fact, I will think it's pretty much over if Bitcoin does break below 74,000 to 70,000, which we'll discuss later in the video. The thing that I am concerned about is the altcoin market. I'm beyond concerned about the altcoin market. I think the altcoin market has seen damage that it probably will not be able to recover from. And when I say that, it's nuanced. It's not that I think the altcoin market won't go up again. It's that I think we won't see an altcoin season like we've seen in prior cycles before. It won't be anything like we've seen before if the market does continue upwards. And the reason I say that is because the structural trends that occur on the Ethereum chart, for example, we look at Ethereum, there is a distinctive structural trend. It's a 6-step pattern Step 1 being topping out, Step 2 dead cat bounce, Step 3 bottoming out, Step 4 identifying bear market resistance, Step 5 breaking that bear market resistance, and Step 6 breaking our prior all-time high. That Step 6 pattern was repeated over here in 2021, 2022. We had Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, Step 4, right? Step 5 breaking it, and Step 6 attempting to break our all-time high. But the problem is we didn't actually complete Step 6. We didn't break the all-time high. And now it's gotten to the point where, we broke our all-time high. We entered Step 6 on Ethereum in January 2021, just about 300 days before the top of the cycle. If we were to break all-time highs tomorrow on Ethereum, which would not happen, there's no way that would possibly happen. Even if we broke them tomorrow, the end of the cycle would be October. That's 200 days away. We're about 100 days behind schedule on Ethereum. Another reason why altcoins are so concerning to me right now is the Bitcoin dominance chart. There's a distinctive trend on Bitcoin dominance that altcoin seasons take 320 days. This has happened 2 separate times, 320 days on both occurrences. And the only way we could have seen a 320-day altcoin season while maintaining coherence within the 4-year cycle would have been to see it start in November. And of course, now it's March. We're 4 months late, and it hasn't even begun yet because Bitcoin dominance is reaching new highs. So I think that altcoins are damaged, seriously damaged. I don't trust altcoin investing at this point. I really don't even trust Ethereum. I would need to see a lot of evidence of strength on altcoins and Ethereum before I even would think about touching them again in any serious way. And so, yeah, in that way, I'm concerned about the cycle. But as for Bitcoin, which is what the cycle really is fundamentally, Bitcoin is the leader of the cycle. Bitcoin is the leader of the cryptocurrency market. Everything that happens to altcoins happens because of Bitcoin, right? Altcoins go up because people have invested so heavily in Bitcoin that they get underwhelmed by the potential return of Bitcoin and they look for something better. They look for something out of greed and they look for altcoins. That's the only reason altcoins go up. It's because of Bitcoin fundamentally. They don't go up in their own accord. So Bitcoin is the bread and butter. It's the name of the game. And so I'm not really concerned about the cycle necessarily because of weakness in the altcoin market and destruction of the altcoin market. I'm only concerned about the cycle when Bitcoin does something bad. And that's why I'm so focused on the $74,000 to $70,000 region. This region right here, which I'll make green because support is probably best identified with the color green rather than red. Because that is the prior high of our prior macro price range. Breaking below that high of that prior macro price range would put us back in the same macro consolidation region that we spent 9 months of 2024 trying to get out of. That would just be the absolute, if there's an opposite of normal, it's beyond abnormal. That would not be healthy at all. We would break everything we have by that point. And we'd also break, by the way, this descending wedge formation, which is basically the clamber of hope for Bitcoin to climb out of this weird correction. Furthermore, there's a couple indicators on the weekly chart that I think are very, very important that we need to hold. And both of them basically are contingent on $74,000 holding, or $70,000, whatever the top of this prior resistance range is, 74 to 70K. And those are the Gaussian channel on the weekly chart and the 50 exponential moving average. Starting with the 50 exponential moving average, you can see it's been holding for a long period of time here, about a year and a half. It held on the most recent correction here in 2024. It's holding right now. Same thing with the Gaussian channel, okay? Except the Gaussian channel is a much longer span of validity than the 50 EMA in my view. It goes all the way back to the first halving on Bitcoin. And basically, every time we break below the center line of the Gaussian channel or break above it, we continue in the direction through which the break came. So we broke below it right here, we continued through it. We broke above it right here, we continued through it. This has happened time and time and time again. And so if we were to break below the center line of the Gaussian channel, we would likely continue through it. And at that point, that would be, I guess, the same thing as saying we're in a bear market, because we'd be breaking so low and so far down below our all-time high that there'd be nothing else to say other than it is a bear market. So I really am dead set on the idea that Bitcoin is still looking relatively healthy on the macro until 70,000 to 74,000 is broken. If we do break that region, it immediately becomes fatal, in my view. And I hold this position of slight macro bullishness, even knowing that the altcoin market is taking such significant blows. Now, am I fully comfortable? No, I'm not fully comfortable, not at all, because the altcoin market historically should not be doing this. But again, just going back to that bread and butter, the basis of the cycle is Bitcoin, not altcoins. So in a way, it's kind of irrelevant what altcoins are doing. Altcoins are only really seen in the eyes of an actual trader, of an actual investor, as opportunistic investments and trades within a broader Bitcoin bull market. The whole underlying factor through which what makes the market environment bullish and good for altcoins is Bitcoin itself. It's Bitcoin we need to be concerned about, not altcoins. And I look at the Bitcoin structure right now and I see this descending wedge formation and I see this as a macro bullish structure. Yes, we've broken down. Yes, it's slightly abnormal, but the cycle itself has been abnormal and every cycle before this has been abnormal. However, they've still managed to play out. And so I don't really see any definitively bearish evidence here as of this point, especially considering we've had this kind of long, drawn-out, weird structural consolidation before. We just saw it last year. 9 months of consolidation within a structure. The structure was a descending channel formation. This time the structure is a descending wedge formation. And just like last time, we are scraping the top of the Gaussian channel, and we're yet to break below it. And we're also scraping the top of the 50 EMA, and we're yet to break below it. And just like last time, we could be seeing a bounce off of those two indicators. Right, there's nothing at this point that is telling me that we're doing anything different to what we were doing back here in 2024. We had the same big fake outs. We had the same destruction of the altcoin market, or similar at least. And structurally, we're doing a similar thing in the fact that that's a descending wedge, right? And this is that's a descending channel and this is a descending wedge. So although I'm definitely vigilant and I'm watching this situation closely, at this point, the evidence to sit here and say that it's a bear market is underwhelming to me. I just don't see the evidence for that at this point. Is it abnormal? Yes, it's abnormal. But again, every cycle so far has been abnormal in comparison to the last cycle. The only step further towards abnormality that we've taken this cycle is that the altcoin market has been absolutely decimated in comparison to what we've done previously. But the altcoin market is not the driver of the cycle itself. Bitcoin is. So it's Bitcoin we should be worried about. And at this point in time, the Bitcoin indicators that suggest we have, the Bitcoin indicators that have suggested we're still in an upwards trend on a macro scale are still valid and are still being relied on and still being acting as support. So a bit of a rambly video, but I guess to conclude, my conclusion is this, right? Bitcoin, yes, it's in a weird position. Yes, I'm watching it closely. I can't sit here and say that I'm fully confident. I'm not. I think this is weird, that's for sure. But there's no actual definitive proof at this point that Bitcoin is in a bear market, even given the destruction of the altcoin market. What do we need to do to get back in a bullish position? With that said, we're not in a bullish position. We have to remember that. We're in consolidation. We're in a very neutral position right now. To get in a bullish position, we need to break this wedge, plain and simple. Break it to the upside. We need to break the daily chart Gaussian channel, which was the rejection zone that we rejected from for 3 consecutive weeks before this actual breakdown occurred, before this was validated as a double top formation. It's the Gaussian channel center line that made us actually break down there. That's the level we couldn't clamber above. That's currently sitting at 94,000, 95,000. If we get above that price region, that 94,000 region, then we're back in the clear, even on the short term and the medium term, let alone the long term. But until then, we're in this neutral position with no real definitively bearish evidence, and it's still the undertone of the cycle, which is a bullish thing, is playing in the background. For that reason, I remain macro bullish, but cautiously optimistic.